Welcome to This and That, a comedy sketch show that makes fun of psychological developmental issues. Our first sketch, Late Night Cognitive with Zeon Kize.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zeon Kieze on Late Night Cognitive. Tonight, I am interviewing a special guest, Jarek Yandel, who claims to be able to see objects only whenever they are there, among other phenomena. Here he is.
Good evening, Zeon. And yes, when I was 7 months old, playing peekaboo with my mother, when I closed my eyes, she was gone for a while. But then when I opened my eyes again, she was there, as if she just magically materialized.
Ah yes, I believe this concept is object permanence of the sensory motor stage. Out of sight, out of mind. Tell us about the pre-operational stage.
These were my selfish years. Everything was about me, me, me. I was so egocentric that when I was 5 years old, that 2 cups that were different sizes with apple cider had different amounts. I thought that even with the same amount, I thought the taller cup had more, even though they were just the same.
Ah yes, I love apple cider. Oh, ready. It says here that when you were age 7, you finally understood that the apple cider had the same amount because of the principle of conservation in the concrete operational stage, because you were able to focus on more than just one trait.
Ah, right. I'm not egocentric anymore.
And now, since you are older, you have a sense of the world through different perspectives and have hypothetical thought. What stage are you in now, and what is x when x squared minus 14x plus 45 equals 0?
Formal operational stage, and x equals 5 and 9.
Excellent. Well, this concludes our interview with Jarek Yandel. Have a great night, folks. Wasn't that just wonderful? Up next, we have a fantastic little skit we like to call the Disequilibrium Zone. So hold on to your seats. Here we go.
There is a 5th dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call
the Disequilibrium Zone. Hello, and welcome to the Disequilibrium Zone. Imagine, if you will, that as people grow, psychology states that they form schemata of the world around them, a mental representation, flexible, formed by experience. People usually reside in equilibrium, a state of balance where the world makes sense. But we are about to experience the realm known as disequilibrium.
I'll never join you! If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough! He told me you killed him.
Luke has his preset schema. He believes that his father was killed by Darth Vader during the events of the Clone Wars, as told by Obi-Wan Kenobi. He had previously assimilated this new information into his existing schema. But what will happen to Luke's equilibrium as new information is presented to him? Oh, spoiler alert.
No. I am your father. No. That's not true. That's impossible.
Luke's schema has been crushed as he enters disequilibrium. This confusion and imbalance can only result in accommodation, during which Luke will change his existing schema and replace it with a new one in his internal search for equilibrium.
search your feelings, you know it to be true.
There is nothing worse than disequilibrium. Except maybe kissing your sister. Yeah, that's worse.
That was dandy. And now a word from our sponsors.
Well, wasn't that just great? Our final sketch for this evening is Solve That Crisis with Carrie Carrickson. Hello, and welcome to tonight's episode of Solve That Crisis. I'm your host, Carrie Carrickson. I'd like to introduce the first of our two guests tonight, John Doe, middle-aged suburban man with a generic occupation. Hello, and thank you for coming, John.
Hi, audience. I'm very excited to be here. Let's get started, Carrie.
Oh, wonderful. And next, we have Barry Barlow, who refused to list an age, occupation, or any personal information besides his name. Welcome to the show, Barry.
Bring in the monkeys, subjects, children.
Right. For those of you who might not know how this game is played, I'll give a brief explanation of the rules. There are exactly 8 crises that our contestants must solve. The first 3 are questions about raising children, while the other 5 are about their adult lives. A point goes to each contestant for providing the best answer to solve the crisis, as determined by audience applause. The contestant with the most points at the end will be our winner, a healthy, successful adult. Let's get started. The first crisis that you gentlemen must solve in raising this hypothetical child is trust versus mistrust. That is, the successful feelings of safety and security versus insecurity and anxiety that could plague your child for the rest of its life. What is the best way to solve this crisis? You have 1 minute to develop your answer. All right, gentlemen, let's see what you've got. Mr. Doe, please explain how you would solve the trust versus mistrust crisis for your child.
I feel like the most essential part of solving this crisis would be always to be there to comfort the child, in addition to providing all the basic needs, but especially food. Letting a child go hungry when you are responsible for its life would automatically fail developing trust.
A very intelligent response, John. Let's see what your competitor has. Mr. Barlow?
Place the child in an environment where it must choose between comfort and survival. Observe the results. Do not interact with the child.
Well, that's a unique approach for sure. But I think it's safe to say that Mr. Doe has won this round. Moving on, please explain how you would help a child solve the crisis of autonomy versus self-doubt. That is, creating confidence instead of inadequacy and low self-esteem. Go. All right, gentlemen, your time is up. We'll go to Barry first for this round.
Allow the child to fend completely for itself, right, George? The shame of failure will be good for the child.
And Mr. Doe?
Well, I think Mr. Barlow makes a very good point. The child has to do things for itself, as a parent, to support things without hovering. The most important skill is probably the skill of potty training, so that the basic skills are in control of the child, so that they can develop their own confidence.
Again, John is our clear winner. Our final parental crisis is a tough one, creating initiative versus guilt. If successful, your child will have a sense of initiative and creativity, but failure can lead to a lack of self-worth and severe guilt. What do you do?
there's a critical balance here. You have to teach the child the difference between right and wrong, with mild punishment, but not to a degree where they feel guilty all the time. It is also vital to allow them a free environment to play in, one where they can create as much as they wish.
Excellent, truly excellent. Now, Mr. Barlow?
A child's life must be structured and nothing short of full of punishment. They will want to move past utter despair, creating a strong drive, like in myself.
Well, that's it for our child-raising categories, and Mr. Doe leads 3-0. Let's start thinking back to our own childhoods and lives now, gentlemen, and describe the solutions that you came to become the ideal adults that you are now. Our first crisis is competence versus inferiority. Another important one in developing confidence and avoiding lethargy. I can't wait to hear what you've got. And your time is up. We'll start off this new round with you, Mr. Barlow.
As someone with absolutely no insecurities about the horrors of my past, I would say that I solved this crisis perfectly by separating myself from all the other children and refusing to adapt and learn from any new things presented to me.
That's very odd, because I was very confident in myself, and I consider myself someone with excellent social skills. However, my childhood was very different from Mr. Barlow's, in that I worked very hard, focused on skills that I thought would help me in the world, heavily influenced by interactions with my peers.
And John seems to have it again. You are on fire, if I may say so, Mr. Doe.
I'll light him on fire.
Let's move on to the crisis of identity versus role confusion. Learning to have a healthy sense of self instead of a constantly shifting, unclear identity. What is the solution to this crisis? Once again, you have 1 minute.
I explored a lot as a kid. I went through quite a few humorous phases, such as a sport-obsessed jock, snobby prep kid, and a dark emo. But I eventually found my niche in being sort of the average Joe, and I've been settled ever since.
I was a child. Children do not have identity. I lived under that understanding, and I know who I am today. I am a strong man that does not need to label himself, because nothing is permanent, and it's a long time the people of this earth begin to realize that fact.
This one also goes to Mr. Doe. I have to say, Mr. Barlow, it seems you are just providing an opposition to everything we provide to you.
My life is my life, and I turned out quite all right. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Well, I suppose that settles that. We'll continue on with the all-important social crisis of intimacy versus isolation, developing a capacity for closeness and commitment. I'm very interested to hear your responses, gentlemen. It's, as much as I hate to say it, we'll begin with you, Barry.
Thank you. I have always found that dependency is the fault of humanity. It's not that I can't be close to others. It's that I chose not to because of the failures of my relationships. I do commit very strongly to everything that I do, though, so I certainly solved this crisis.
Do not get paid enough for this. Anyway, Mr. Doe.
I depend a lot on my friends and family. I decided opening, among others, was the best way to survive in the world we live in. Life gets tough sometimes, but I have fantastic relationships that allow me to continue on the worst times.
This is the first time in Solve That Crisis history that we've had a 6-0 lead going into the second to last round. Although Mr. Doe has technically already won the show, we will continue on to our 7th crisis, generativity versus stagnation. This is selflessness at its finest, putting the thoughts of family, society, and future generations ahead of your selfish concerns. How would you say that you have solved or are currently solving this crisis, gentlemen? And time. We'll hear from our winner first.
I try to give back to the community as much as I can by volunteering, and I make sure that I spend all my free time with my family. Work is important, but the world and the people in it take precedence over me and my concerns.
Everything I do is for the rest of the world. People just need to understand that. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't hurt anyone. I simply provide us with important information. I've been doing that. I've been doing the same thing for so many years. I don't know what I would do if I stopped doing it.
Well, this is it for us tonight, gentlemen. One final crisis. Ego integrity versus despair. I need you to reflect on your lives and your answers tonight and give me an overall evaluation of your sense of satisfaction with life. For this, you will have 2 minutes. And go! Mr. Barlow? I'm sorry, everyone, but it appears that Mr. Barlow has abandoned our game in a fit of mysterious rage. Audience, please remain calm. Let's just hear from our winner, Mr. Doe, who has set an incredible record tonight with an 8-0 win.
I'm very proud of my life and the people in it. I feel like I can accept that the end will be coming, and there are no things I need to set right or try to accomplish before the end comes. I'm very happy with the life I've lived, Miss Character.
Simply incredible, Mr. Doe. Thank you so much for being on our show tonight. You are truly the happiest, healthiest adult I have ever met. Congratulations on your victory.
And now for something completely different.
The premiere of the new music video, No Sleep for Development.
No sleep for development. Little baby monkeys never had a false mother. In comes Harry Hollow, gives the monkeys to another. That mom ain't a mom, it's a wire mesh. Food or cloth, neither one's got flesh. With finesse, Hollow puts him in distress. Infantile monkeys run like it's recess. To which funky monkeys did the little son run? Soft terry cloth model is the one he called mom. Both monkeys were heated, only one was greeted. The wire had the food, but not the comfort cloth needed. Hollow's had the key, was keeping warm, button all the little babies' contact helps the mind form. No sleep till. Another man, another plan, another way to understand. Chomsky, he had to see how we talk with such degree. He said we're all born with a language acquisition device, a universal way to learn how to form replies. Chomsky said language is an instinct, making sure you could all talk as infants. Speaking comes so easy because of evolution. That way, when adults speak, there ain't no confusion. Languages have courses and children learn more. Before age 11, being bilingual's no bore. If you learn a little early, you can keep one broke as area. Later in life, form two. But that could be hysteria. No sleep for. No sleep for development. No sleep for development. Up next is a man named Lauren Colbert. He said through 3 must levels we must work. First level too conventional. It's easy to see. Is the act right or wrong? And do others agree? The next step is conventional. It comes with adolescence. Being a good citizen is of the essence. Sense of duty and order is what they choose. Would it be okay in another person's shoes? Level number 3 is post-conventional. Respecting the law makes this commendable. Even though most people don't get this far, justice, liberty, and equality can make a person a star. No sleep for. No sleep for development. No sleep for development. No sleep for development. No sleep for development. No sleep for development.
My name is Flip Flop. My name is Frick Frack. My name is Jean Piaget. Because the principle of conversation. The principle of conversation. This is the principle of conservation. Yeah. wait, where's my monkey? Yeah. Hey.
Such as being a sport obsessed. I went through quite a lot of humorous phases.